Fantasy Football Warriors, welcome. Episode 3. Here we are, Tank Sinatra, Eddie Bravo, back at it. We are going to be mock drafting our last mock draft of the season. Draft days are coming along here next week, as early as next week for most folks. So we're going to do our last one. Today, we're going to be doing it off the ESPN platform. Last time we did Fantasy Pros, and you can do that. You can use different platforms all the live long day, but you should be mock drafting off the platform that you're going to use. That's going to give you your most accurate ADP positions for all your players. And you don't want to come around draft day on your platform, ESPN, and all you've been doing is drafting off Fantasy Pros or Yahoo or whatever. It's not going to be the same, and you don't want to be lost in any kind of way come draft day, right? So for us, we're going to do today's in ESPN. That's our platform for our league of record, the NFL. Woo! And we're going to do, for the first time that I know of, and you can correct me if I'm wrong.
I haven't seen it.
For the first time that I know of, we are going to draft together, not separate. Together, we're going to look at the board. We're going to look at all the picks, all the players, and we are going to be of one mind and body.
Yes. Collaborative
mock draft. First of its kind that I know of. So are
give
you
us the
excited?
Yeah, I am excited. But this will give us the opportunity to discuss and collaborate every single pick. And I think that could be insightful because instead of us just mocking on our own with our own opinions, we've got two different kind of opinions coming together to mock draft, select picks, and discuss each round strategy and all those things. I think it'll open up for good discussions and good evaluation, and should be a good idea. And we'll see if this catches on.
And we'll go from there, right?
Yeah.
So the last time we drafted, again, it was Fantasy Pros. We drafted from the 3 and the 4. Today we're going to draft from the 12. We're going to go all the way to the bottom of the barrel.
Just as we had said, we
Just
said we were
as
going to
we
do a
said,
late
our
round.
next draft was going to be from a later pick, and we're going to go with that, right? So how much time we got left on
We
on
have
the clock here?
ourselves. Draft room is open.
Enter the draft.
Beautiful.
I love it. Should I
So
do
it's-
the rest of the episode in an English accent?
Oh no. Switch over to that screen now.
All right, let's get it.
All right. Whoa.
Oh
ESPN got some crazy graphics going
my
on.
God. It's Miller time.
Gotta love it. All right. We got a minute until this draft comes up.
All right. So we got a minute. As I said, we already discussed the platform we're going to be using, the pick we're going to be picking from, and the collaborative effort that we're going to put into this mock draft should definitely open up the conversation pieces per player. Definitely will open up for insight, questions, comments, and it should be a good time.
Yeah. So
So strap in,
sit
Fantasy
down,
Football Warriors.
get some coffee.
That's
We're
right,
having
get some
coffee
Java.
ourselves, and we're gonna mock. It's crunch time. As we've been saying, it's crunch time. It's time to properly prepare.
That's right. Get ready to go to war. All right. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Blast off. Oh my.
Yikes, guys.
Oh my. That was quite nice. I really did enjoy that. That was proper serious, as Unknown P would say.
We are gonna turn the sound off though. That was a
All right.
mental
So-
typo, if you will.
This is going to be real interesting. I want to see who falls to 12, right? It's going to be real interesting to see.
I think this is our first mock this late.
yeah,
the season.
we have not done one this late.
We
in
slacked
this
on
season.
mocking a little bit. We have not been practicing what we preach.
For the typically the hundreds of mock drafts we have under our belt by now. We definitely have not
probably
hit
got
that
like
number.
sub 50
Yeah,
on
we
the
definitely
off
have
season.
not hit that number this year, but
It's okay.
Um, it's all right.
We've had other things.
We've definitely had other things going on. So let's check it out. Rod's Remarkable. Talon's top team. Let's go, Talon. Think long,
Talon.
think wrong. The other, reason, obviously we used Fantasy Pros early on. We didn't have to wait for the picks. We didn't have to wait on timers. So for this draft, we are going to have to kind of wait for folks to make their picks and for the pick to get to us. We are on a 30-second timer per pick. So just be aware of that. Just be a little patient as the picks come around. Once we start getting into the groove of making the picks, there'll definitely be plenty of discussion. So we're on the clock now.
Okay, I think here the play is probably either AJ Brown or Garrett Wilson. Personally, I think that's our play. I would have considered Jameer Gibbs, but he just went.
I mean, for me, I see Pacheco right there.
Yeah, but we it doesn't really matter. We got back to back. So
We do have back to back. That is true.
let's go. Mm, Garrett Wilson. We're gonna
Garrett
go Garrett
Wilson.
Wilson
Yep, we'll go Garrett Wilson.
upside, and then from here.
Yep. He should have Aaron, a healthy Aaron throwing to him.
Now we have my selection
There
for
it
best
is.
pick in drafts
King
right now.
Henry
Isaiah
and
Pacheco was my
Pacheco.
close second. Yep.
Yeah, that is
We
definitely
got
on
10
one
seconds.
hand. King Henry.
Let's go.
Take him.
All
Take
right.
the value. Take the value. Take King Henry. All right, so now let's talk about it, right? We got a long way to go. This is a snake draft before they get back to us, right? So Garrett Wilson, let's talk about Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson last year with Zach Wilson under center, uh, still played well, obviously hindered by Zach Wilson, right? I mean, no other way to put
For
it.
every year of his career so far. Yeah.
Yeah. So this year, with a healthy Aaron Rodgers,
Knock on wood. But
knock on wood, um, should definitely help the quarterback play is definitely going to help him out. We should see more from him. He is, for all intents and purposes, right, can be an elite
he is an
wideout.
elite wide receiver. Even if the production hasn't been there at elite numbers, you look at anything success rates versus man, zone, press, route running. You look at anything, he's an elite wide receiver, an elite separator, and an elite target earner. Throughout this is what 2 seasons. Throughout two
Yep.
seasons, no player in the league ever, ever has had as many targets as he has. So he's an elite player, and he's just needed the right situation.
Yeah. So,
Unless you believe Aaron Rodgers goes out there and tears his other Achilles,
God, Lord, have mercy.
uh, he's a strong pick in drafts, high upside.
Yeah, for sure. So, in to put a yin to that yang, right? Would you be interested in drafting Aaron Rodgers late this year?
It, I don't think you want to wait that late, but if you do, yeah, he's absolutely someone you can throw in there. I think the upside will be capped because I think it's a team that'll still like to run and play a
Right.
balanced offense. So it's
Mm-hmm.
not like
Mm-hmm.
it's a good defense. So it's not like we're going to be getting into these crazy
Right.
shootouts.
And I don't see him taking off,
Yeah,
potentially, hurting himself again, like you said, the other Achilles. So,
he can definitely have some upside games, but I think he'll just be more of a floor contributor,
right.
like a good bye week fill in. So
Yeah,
he's
that's
not
what I
someone I
think
want
too.
to hitch my wagon to this season,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I feel the same way.
but he's not a bad pick.
Yeah. So then, so we took our elite wideout potential, and then we went with King Henry. King Henry round two.
Another elite upside case. If you need us to make the case for Derrick Henry, go watch our last video.
Yes.
I broke it down
Yes.
as
Must
my
draft players.
best pick at the running back position
Mm-hmm.
in all of drafts. Isaiah Pacheco was a close second there, but following how I did it, we're gonna go with Derrick Henry here. So
Yeah. There was a part of me that kind of wanted to give Pacheco the lean, just because
he's the safer floor option just because of age, stuff like that. But
I think for me when you look at players in general, right? You want your players to be on good offenses. You want them to be in good situations, good quarterback, good coaching,
They've both got that.
and they both have it,
Yeah.
right? But um, I don't know. I just feel like the Chiefs are just. I don't
Chiefs
know.
are going to pass more too,
Are
though.
gonna. Yeah, the Chiefs are gonna pass more. You're right. Derrick Henry will have a lot
All
more
right.
opportunity to run, score in that run heavy offense that Baltimore runs. So you know what? There it is. There's the insight we're looking for. If you're at 12, looking at Pacheco and Derrick Henry staring you in the face, go the king. Take the king. Take a chance on the king. If Pacheco's your cup of tea, go with Pacheco too. It's not neither. I don't think you could go wrong either way.
No. I was split on who to select there for my best pick in our last video just because it's all there for both of them. So I did like both of them. All right. As we head into our next picks here, I think I am leaning Cooper Cup go off the board. Damn it. Okay. Um, I think we go Josh Jacobs here for running back if we wanted to.
Um,
I think we go another
who
wide
else?
receiver here. I think Devontae Smith is our pick. Yes.
Go for it.
All right. So now we got a next pick. What are we leaning here?
We're at 4.
Yeah. We go Anthony Richardson.
Anthony Richardson is there. That
A
would give
little further
us.
down is Malik Calvin.
Let's secure the quarterback.
Okay. So just general draft strategy when you are drafting this late, uh, even early round picks. When you have an early or a super late round pick where you're going to go a long time without drafting, don't be afraid to reach. You just want
Yeah.
to get your guys.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to be able to play any sort of ADP game. You're not going to be able to play any sort of see who falls to me. You just need to take your guys because
Yes.
too many picks are going to go by
Yes.
to make any sort of calculated guess.
Right.
It's just luck at this point. So grab the guys you want and hope for the best when you got early or late round pick.
It's so funny that you. It's so funny that you naturally just went into that thought process because that was going to be my next thought process
We've been
was picking from this spot. There's no such thing as reaching anymore. I mean, obviously you're not going to reach down into round 9, 10
yeah,
for a guy. However, you need to be securing the people you believe in. You're picking back to back and you're literally going 2 whole rounds before the pick gets back to you. You have to grab the guys you believe in because if not, they're not going to be there.
you're not gonna get them.
You're not going to get them. So we went Devontae Smith.
Yep.
Um, and for those that didn't see the last video, oh no, he wasn't on the last
No,
video.
we
Devontae
talked
Smith,
about him in
that's
our
right.
first video.
Yeah, we talked about him on the first one. So he should have a lot better environment this year with Kellen Moore
Yep, Kellen Moore coming over as
correct?
the OC.
We talked about
Pace of
pace of
play,
play,
pass rate, all those things should go up, which should lead to more sustainable production from both Devontae Smith and AJ Brown. I
and
expect
really it
them
shouldn't. That type of stuff shouldn't lean towards AJ. It should lean towards Devontae, right?
in terms of
Because AJ
slot
has the
percentage.
X, right?
Yeah, if you're thinking about who's going to be moving around, I think they both move around, but moving around a lot more into the slot, etc. I think Devontae Smith's your guy,
Right.
but I think both are really really strong picks. Devontae Smith obviously goes later, and I think it could be kind of a bounce back season compared to last season. So I
Right.
like Devontae Smith. I think you got a good floor as someone who's going to be involved, but also a ton of upside with a revamped offense that should be more
Right.
fantasy friendly.
And then pairing him with Garrett Wilson.
Yep, same kind of thing there.
Yeah, let's just watch the fantasy points rack up, right?
All right.
And then we secured Anthony Richardson in the round 4. Really, my thought process there uh, is a QB like Anthony Richardson can help you win every week, can help you win your season.
Yep.
And there are still, by the time we come back around to round 5, 6, we should still have a good selection of either wideouts or running backs
Probably wideouts. We probably want to wait on running back just
that
with
we may want to take depending on who's there. But definitely securing a potential league winning quarterback, I think was important in round four. So that's why I kind of leaned there.
As we head into this next pick, I'm looking at Calvin Ridley, Tank Dell. We can grab two of them, really.
Mm-hmm.
So I think our first pick should be Calvin Ridley. Uh, Another person that was in our best picks
Yep.
draft to put into the flex there. Then we could grab Jonathan Brooks if we wanted to as our RB2, but I'm almost tempted to just lock up Calvin Ridley and Tank Dell and then ignore the wide receiver position for a little bit. I think that's our best bet. These
Ignore running back for a minute.
No, after this,
Oh,
ignore
okay,
wide
I gotcha.
receiver,
Gotcha. Yeah,
and
yeah.
we wait till we come
And then
back around.
stock up.
Yeah, so
Uh, okay,
I think that's our
let's
best
go with
move.
that.
In the middle rounds this season, you do want to be attacking the wide receiver position. There are a ton of great values, ton of great players to grab. So if you miss out on that 2 to 5 range of wide receivers, you're going to be hurting later when there's a drop off there. Whereas as we head into round 7, 8, we're going to have guys like James Conner there,
Mm-hmm.
who was also in our best picks. So
Yeah.
Jalen Warren might be there. Najee Harris. There's some guys that should be in line for volume as well as upside guys, such
Right.
as Tony Pollard, Tajay Spears, Chase Brown,
Yep.
that you can start taking shots on. And so we've definitely got a hero RB build going this
Yeah.
season with Derrick Henry. But I think this season, and really if you look at the data on a lot of seasons, it's kind of the most optimal build. So yeah, I like the start so far with Anthony Richards, Derrick Henry, Garrett Wilson, Devontae Smith, Calvin Ridley, Tank Dell. I think we've all got I think we got strong players. I think we got a strong start.
Yeah. Calvin Ridley. If you didn't see the last video, must draft players, best players at each position. Calvin Ridley was. Did we do Calvin Ridley?
Yep.
Oh, yeah, we did.
Calvin Ridley and Cooper Cup.
Yep. Calvin Ridley and Cooper Cup. Right. So, putting our money where our mouth is here.
This whole draft really so far.
Yeah.
Anthony Richardson was there
Taking
too.
Calvin Ridley, but let's talk Tank Dell a little bit before the next pick. Tank Dell in a crowded wide receiver environment. By most, by aesthetics, right? You would think Tank Dell is probably the number three option, but that not might not necessarily be the case, right?
I don't think that's personally. I don't think it's going to be the case. I think you'll have a clear pecking order of Nico Collins, Tank Dell, and then Stephon Diggs.
Hmm.
Stephon Diggs is at the end of his career. Let's just be honest, right? There has been a slight decline over the last couple of seasons, and at the end of the day, he doesn't have the same rapport that C.J. Stroud has with Nico Collins and Tank Dell. After
Especially Tank Dell.
Yeah, especially Tank Dell, because if you don't know, that's like actually his best friend in the entire world. So that's why I love. That's a huge reason why I love Tank Dell. Aside from loving him as a prospect, thinking he's built to be an elite separator and elite route runner at the NFL at all levels of the field, despite his size.
I was just about to say that. Despite being a little man,
He plays big.
he
That's why he
does.
is called Tank. That is
He
not his real
plays
first name.
way bigger than what he is
Yep.
for sure. And
And I
he
just
and it's amazing that he can literally play all over. He's like another Steve Smith.
yeah, I definitely see that. Yeah, he plays all three positions.
Maybe not as aggressive, right? Like, Steve Smith is definitely was always a very aggressive, a dog, if you will, right? But yeah, I kind of see him in that, you know, mold.
So I love Tank Dell. He's the best value too because you can get him later, and I think he's just as strong as a bet for the most part as any of those other guys to lead the team in targets. I just think he has the edge as one of value, two CJ Stroud's like actual best friend. He's not going
Human
anywhere.
human nature,
Yeah,
right? That we talk about.
we got to take this next pick and then we'll get back to it.
Okay.
Okay, so we
Well,
got
there's
Tony
the
Pollard,
Najee
Najee
that you were
Harris,
talking about.
a little
Tony
bit
Pollard.
Devin
There's Devin,
Singletary. I think we missed out on
undervalued.
James Conner. All right, so I think we go Najee or Tony Pollard. Okay, we're gonna go
Najee.
Najee for the volume here, and then we can go Tony Pollard. We could go, I mean, Austin Eckler even,
Devin
Devin
Singletary
Singletary.
went off the board.
Nice there. We could go
If we want
Gus
to go,
Edwards, Chase Brown.
if we're gonna go someone that's gonna more than likely get all the work, let's grab Devin.
All right. Okay.
All right. So finishing up with Tank Dell, the points on Tank Dell. I agree with all the human nature aspects of it. CJ Stroud is definitely going to be looking for Tank Dell. Tank Dell is it's a young, talented prospect that you could use all over the field. We already saw it last season
Yep.
before the injury.
Injury. Yep.
So I can see that. I, I can see that. Um, but I don't know. It just I still worry about Tank Dell being the number three option there. Um, just because I don't know. I don't feel like you bring Stefon Diggs in to be the number three or play uh, behind, maybe behind Nico, but behind Nico and Tank. I'm not sure. I'm
I
not
don't know if
sure
that's
if
up
that
to
plays
the
out.
GM. I think the GM goes out and gets players. CJ Stroud decides who he's going to throw you and who's open. Targets are earned. You don't get a target because you got a contract.
Yeah, I get
Targets are
that.
earned in the NFL. So, and I'm not saying Stephon Diggs is a bad pick either. I just
And then just to circle the wagon on the diminished or bad play, how much of that was his fault? How much of it wasn't?
I mean, I guess you can make the argument
Right.
that maybe it wasn't his fault, but at the end of the day, the decline has been happening for a couple of seasons. It's not like it was just last season with
Yeah.
the OC change. So,
Okay. So we finish up with Tank Dell there. So moving on, we went Najee and we went Devin Singletary, right?
sort of low upside guys, in my opinion, low ceiling guys. I like ceiling a little bit more. I might have leaned going Chase Brown there, but I think at the end of the day, what we need, we're at our next pick. We'll get back to this. This is going faster. All right, let's see here. So we go Tyler Algier as a high upside handcuff.
Jameson Williams, it's your guy.
Gus Edwards still on the board. Have to go there.
Oh yeah.
All right, so I'm thinking maybe we grab Curtis Samuel, Tyler Algier.
We don't have a tight end yet.
We don't.
Round 10.
What is on the board? Nothing. We punt it. All right. So I say we go what? Curtis Samuel. Take a shot on potentially the target leader on that team.
We could. Rashid Shaheed is there too. Okay, so excuse me. So to go back to Singletary and Najee, right? So Najee potential split backfield with Jalen Warren, but really I think that the goal line work will go to Najee,
Yeah.
right? Um, so if the touchdowns are gonna lean more towards that direction, that's what you want. Devin Singletary, right? Undervalued running back on probably an uh, undervalued offense.
I don't know about undervalued, but an offense that could be better than people expect. But at the end of the day, it's not going to be some top five offense, but he's probably in line most likely to get most of the work. And as we have
Volume is king.
discussed multiple times, that is the biggest determining factor for fantasy production for running backs is volume. Volume should be there. He's got a history of being able to handle both rushing and receiving work.
Motor.
So like I said, it's not an elite ceiling play. He's not going to blow you away on the field, but he's someone that you can rely on. And I think that's what we needed at that point because we did go kind of hero RB and punted running back production. So grabbing some guys that can provide volumes and sustainable production is a good idea. Like I said, I think one of those picks maybe should have been Chase Brown as just a higher upside guy on a good offense because both Najee and Devin Singletary are on poor offenses.
Yeah. For me, it just came down to still the not really knowing Chase Brown or Zach Moss,
I think
right?
if you've been
And
paying
if we were
attention to training camp
already
reports, you
taking
know.
Najee, who is more than likely on a split backfield, I didn't want to take another player that's could be potentially on a split backfield. I wanted a player that was going to have the work for himself. So
Yeah.
that was my thought process there.
All right. So we could go Tyler Algier here, elite handcuff, I think.
If
Um,
something were to happen to Bijan,
yep.
yeah, I could see that.
I think that's where we go from here. What round is it at this point? Round
We are
11.
in round 11.
So now I think we grab a tight end, and by a tight end, we grab our best pick in the draft,
The
Taysom Hill,
tight end. Oh, putting our money where our mouth
or we
is.
got grab Pat, and then in the next round we grab Taysom, just so we can double dip.
In case one of them don't work out.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, sure. We can do that. Taysom more than likely should still be there.
Yeah. Go Pat Fryermuth. Pat Fryermuth is just
The
a tight end
youth.
with some history of good production, and at the end of the day, unless Brandon Ayuk gets traded, it's just him and Pickens over
Yeah,
there.
pretty much.
So, and Arthur Smith, while in Atlanta, orchestrated an offense that was contributing some of the most fantasy points to the tight end position. Wasn't all going to Kyle Pitts because life's hard, but
Yep.
as a whole, the tight end position was producing a lot of fantasy points. So it's Pat Fryermuth as the pretty much only receiving tight end over there.
Yep.
Their other tight end, blanking on his name right now, that they drafted last season is more of a blocking tight end, a big blocking tight end. So I expect most of it to go to Pat Fryermuth. I think he could be in sleeper territory, and he's someone who's had an history of being a reliable fantasy
Fantasy
tight end.
consistent. Yeah, contributor.
So we'll go there. We'll go Taysom Hill as our truly high upside pick.
Man, we're getting down to
The nitty gritty
last
here.
two bench spots and then defense kicker. Crazy. Yeah, Taysom Hill definitely is going to be one of those. So, really, the next decision we need to make is running back or wideout for that last one, depending on what the board gives us, right?
Yeah, we'll see. I think we need. I would like. We'll see. We'll see what the board is.
We're definitely not going to grab another QB because we already grabbed a high upside elite QB. No need to back that up in any kind of way.
Well, my argument is we definitely could back him up just because there is a ton of
The
risk, but the
risk,
risk is
yeah,
we put such a high draft uh, pick into him that we have to basically assume it works out. Because if it doesn't, our draft is pretty much over. All right, so the
Jahan
Tavian
Dotson just
Wicks.
went over to the Eagles too.
Yeah, I don't want no part of that. We go Ray Davis, getting some buzz. We could go Tyrone Tracy.
Backup motor.
Yeah. All right. Running out of time there, but at this point, it didn't really matter. Tyrone Tracy offers us some insurance with Devin Singletary.
Yep.
Um, he's actually a prospect I like quite a bit. So we'll see. He's looked good in preseason, but really I would have been fine with any multitude of picks here, but we were yapping and we didn't get around to it. So I also liked, like I said, what was the name I just said? Ray Davis is someone who's performed really well so far in preseason. He's behind James Cook right now, but we saw last season they were reluctant to give James Cook goal line carries. If they feel like Ray Davis is that guy, we could have the goal line back. Not that that's a super valuable role, though,
Yeah.
to be honest, on Buffalo.
No.
But short yardage guy, and I mean, he could push for some sort of 50-50 split if they want to keep James Cook healthy and relegate James Cook to more of a pass down role. So, and at the end of the day, it's just a high upside handcuff. Someone who's looked good. If something happened to James Cook, he's like the only running back over there. So
Pretty much.
we are going to go. I think the pick
All right.
is just the Bills.
Yep. Bills probably here for sure.
Then we can talk
Already
through the rest of
have,
this.
quite a few seasons of fantasy friendly points that come from the Bills defense, so no issues there with that pick whatsoever. And then kicker. I mean,
Dicker the kicker.
Dicker the kicker.
Can't
There
go
it
wrong.
is. Yeah, once you get to defense and kicker, it's more than likely for you to stick to one kicker and defense throughout the entirety of the fantasy season. Probably unlikely unless you have the number one defense in the league
Yeah.
and you're just playing them every week. As far as kicker, probably not playing a kicker every single week either, unless you just have the kicker of all kickers and you're playing them every week. So, defense kicker, uh, typically, once you get to this, last couple of picks, you should always be Taking a defense and a kicker last. You shouldn't be wasting your any earlier picks on defense and kicker, in my opinion. But there are people that do it. But you should definitely leave those for your later picks because defense, defensive production and kicker production, fantasy wise, don't always correlate year to year to year based off who was the best last year. Uh, it you don't with players. It's much easier to determine who can potentially have a good year this year based off future projections and last year performance, but defense and kicker don't really fall into that
Yeah,
bucket, do they?
you can you can kind of, but the biggest thing beyond guessing good defenses is playing the matchups. Like, for example,
We're blinking. We're short circuiting.
I can't remember the defense, guys. I screwed it up. No, just figure out the offenses you want to target. So, like the Patriots this year is probably a offense we're targeting the defense against. So,
Right, because
prepping for that,
offensively they should be
you can picking them up in free agency the week prior. That's kind of where you want to go. It's unlikely that you grab the defense that you're just playing against every matchup. If you hit on one of those, great. But there are 32 defenses in the league. You
right,
have a slim chance that you're hitting on one of
right,
those.
right. Like last season, what Cleveland? You were probably playing Cleveland every week,
But you didn't draft them. You
but you
didn't know.
didn't unless you did, right? By chance,
Yeah.
right? You drafted Cleveland, and they just happened to turn into the best defensive fantasy that season. Yeah, you're gonna play them every week,
Yep.
right? But guessing that is a lot harder than guessing which players are probably gonna be good or not great or what have you, right? So defense and kicker definitely don't fall into that bucket necessarily. So just take the best ones that are on the board, because more than likely
You won't
you're
be
gonna
playing
be,
them. Then
yeah, you're
yeah.
gonna be playing the matchups week to week.
And that same goes for kicker.
Right, and the same goes for kicker. And as the season progresses, you're gonna start seeing, you're gonna start noticing, you're gonna start figuring out if you're paying attention who those offenses are to target.
Yeah.
Right, regardless of the defense. Right, if you have offenses in the league that you can target as being poor, you can almost play any defense against them and get the defensive contributions that you're looking for.
Yep. So that's the biggest secret is just playing the offense, just knowing what our offense is to target and doing your best with that. Because the defensive production year to year, week to week is fluky in a lot of ways. So that's the most consistent way to get consistent production.
Yeah. And then with kicker, just uh
The things you can look for, but once again, it's hard
yeah,
to
but that's
really
even hard.
project.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can look
Kicker's super
for
hard.
offenses that are going to run a lot because typically those ones can stall out, but you can't go for too bad of offenses that are just punting. You need to offenses that are good enough
To
to
at
get
least get in
into,
field goal
yep,
range, right?
and then have a kicker good enough to make those kicks consistently. But then you can also look at targeting certain defenses that,
Give up field goal points,
yeah,
right?
so
They're good and they're bad enough to let you get down the field, but then good enough once things get in tight to stop you,
yeah,
right?
and there's things you can look for, like, certain defenses are really, really good in the red zone. You probably want to play your kickers against those defenses because once offenses get in the red zone, they stall out, they kick the
They're
field
gonna
goal,
have to kick,
right?
right?
So there's things you can look for, but once again, it's one of those
Kind of
things that's kind
fluky,
of
yeah.
fluky too. So until you start getting into the later season and you start having the accompanying data to make those determinations, so
Yeah.
just grab the name you like. To be honest, we go with Kicker the Dicker because Kicker the Dicker and Dicker the Kicker, they're just a good time, right? Um, it's that simple. There's like Justin Tucker's about the only kicker you can
Yeah.
bet on to be good.
Yeah, because he's kicking, doesn't matter from where, 50, 60 yards out
Yep.
sometimes, right? Justin Tucker's your guy, right? If you can land him, take him. But then you're playing him every week.
Yep, and
You're
you
not
just
you're not
yep.
sitting Justin Tucker, right? So, and he is on an offense that runs
Runs. Yep.
a lot
So
and has the potential to stall out, which is, and then you have the really for the most part, if you look at seasons and seasons past, the number one kicker in the league, right?
yeah,
Justin Tucker.
both
So,
fantasy and real football, right?
right,
So that's about that. So I think we can take a look back at our team here. We got Anthony Richardson, Derrick Henry, Najee Harris, Garrett Wilson,
I mean
Devontae
that
Smith.
already is gonna be really hard to compete with week in and week out.
Just Richardson and Henry.
Richardson and Henry by themselves, it's
Yeah.
gonna be hard to compete against that.
Um, Garrett Wilson, Devontae Smith. We got Muth in the flex. Calvin Ridley, another dark horse candidate for league winner, our defense kicker. Then we got Tank Dell down here, another super high upside case on an offense that we expect to be really good.
Right. And
So,
on any given week, depending on which of these wide receivers pan out or don't, we have really good flexibility here. Garrett Wilson, Devontae Smith, Calvin Ridley, Tank Dell. Plenty of flexibility there to
play matchups.
yep, all of
It's
that. So
yep,
looking real good there, looking strong.
yep. I do like the wide receiver core here. Then we have Devin Singletary, Gus Edwards, another two running backs on offenses that we expect to give a singular back most of the work.
Right.
So Chargers expect to run a lot, and we expect Gus Edwards to be the guy there. Devin
Yep.
Singletary. The Giants are not dropping back and passing at a league high rate.
Nope.
They're probably going to play a balanced offense. Devin Singletary is probably the guy over there. None of these guys scream crazy upside aside Derrick Henry,
Right.
but
But
that's
one of
okay.
those three there should pan out to be a very good complementary piece
Yep, and all
under
three of them
Henry.
really, and we can
All
play
three of them, right?
matchups
Any
like
three of them, right? So
so.
again, plenty of flexibility there to play matchups or what have you,
Yep.
right?
And we played well into the build because doing Cure RB, we're essentially betting that Derrick Henry has such a strong season that that's all our running back production outside of him needs to be as complimentary, right?
Right.
Just to keep a good floor. But Derrick Henry, I mean, he can go out there and score 2, 3 touchdowns in a game, 100 plus yards, right? So there's such high upside with Derrick Henry that the rest of the pieces just needed to be complimentary.
Right.
Then obviously we have the free agency to select other flyers and league winners throughout the season. So we just got a few guys who are locked in workloads that, barring injury, should get volume and provide complementary production alongside Derrick Henry, who we're betting on to be really good this season.
Yeah. And then our superstar tight end down there.
Taysom Hill, another we went with a super high upside and then a floor tight end.
Yep.
Muth is our floor. Upside goes Taysom Hill with the potentially more consistent
The
workload.
promise of more consistent work,
Yep.
right?
Um, he's another one we talked about in our best picks and drafts right now, and for that reason, because we got him with one of our last picks.
Yep.
If you need a full
Costs
breakdown, check
you
the other video.
nothing. Yep. Check out the other video. Taysom Hill costs you nothing right now.
So then we went Curtis Samuel. He's been having a good camp. I think he's injured right now, but I don't think it's anything serious. But he's been having a good camp, and there are a ton of targets vacated on the Buffalo Bills right now. And Curtis Samuel is someone who could be the primary benefactor of that vacated target share. So it's just a flyer with someone who, honestly, Curtis Samuel is pretty good. He's not a bad wide receiver,
No,
and he
he's
can be
not.
used. He's going to be used more in the short areas of the field, but with that comes a consistent target share, a high catch rate relative to the targets, and he's someone who will probably get jet sweeps and manufactured touches.
Yeah, because somebody's gotta be out there catching with Dalton. I mean,
Yeah,
who
and
else?
Keon Coleman had, I mean, not an elite prospect despite being drafted in the first round. Not elite against as a separator, and what I've heard so far in camp is that's continued to show is that he's not an elite separator.
Right.
So I give the nod to Curtis Samuel here
For sure.
to be someone who can provide you good flex value and beyond, right? If he really takes off with the target share on this team. Tyler Algier, he's going to work in, right? It's not going to just be Bijan with a 100% snap share, right? He'll work in. But so there might be some standalone value. We'll have to see. But at the end of the day, elite high upside handcuff. If something happened to Bijan, you have Tyler Algier, who you're starting every single week.
Yep,
That guy is immediately going over any of these guys into that RB2
pretty
spot with
much.
Derrick Henry, and we've got like a top 12 running back.
Yep, pretty much.
So you love that. In the later rounds, you do want to be grabbing high upside handcuffs because every year there are running backs that come out of the woodworks that we're not expecting that are league winners. Kyron Williams was one of those players drafted in a similar range. We thought we knew Cam Akers was going to be the guy, and then it was Kyron Williams, right? So high upside handcuffs are elite ceiling plays that you want to be getting on your team. And then we went Tyrone Tracy, kind of another high upside handcuff to Devin Singletary. With that last pick, we could have probably gone anywhere. We ran low on time and just went, okay, Tyron Tracy, someone with some upside, has had a good camp, and could provide standalone value as well as high upside handcuff if something happened to Singletary. And that's the team. I'm actually pretty happy with this team. I think we did well despite not having a ton of time to talk through every pick. It was kind of a accelerated rate, but that's good. It's like stress shooting.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta
Sure is.
gotta go through it that way. So I
Yeah,
think it
and
provided
that's
something good for us.
yeah, and that gives you an idea of what your draft may look like come draft day. You may not have a lot of time to think. You may have to pivot here and there depending on what the board gives you, and this is why you mock draft, right? So that you're not lost when you're at 30 seconds on the clock and you don't know where to turn to. You have an idea of what you're looking for, what you want, where the players are at, and this is part of the preparation for draft day. So I like that we did this not only on ESPN because of the 30-second time limit and the accelerated pace, but I also like the fact that we talked through the picks together because it did give a sense of like needing to pick someone with a sense of urgency and still processing through the information that you have, right? I think that was, like you said, a stress shoot, right? So I do like that we did that. I hope everyone got something out of it. Uh, per usual, Tank Sinatra, Eddie Bravo. We're gonna sign off here for this episode 3 mock draft. Like and subscribe as always.
Like and subscribe. We'd like to hear in the comment section what you thought about the mock draft. We'd like to talk about it. That's that. We're happy with it, but we'd like to discuss the players, discuss the picks. Maybe you saw something we didn't as we were running through this, managing both the recording content aspect of it as well as the draft. But yeah, I think that's about that.
Yep, as always, this is the Fantasy Football Warriors. We want to know about your rivalries in your leagues. Leave the comments down there. Tell us what your rivalries are. What are the battles you're looking forward to this season? And let's talk about it. Fantasy Football Warriors signing out.